Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms. What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Today's guest is a proud father and loving husband, the founder and head coach of Men's Medicine, and a big family man who loves working with the community. This person, I have heard so many positive things about. He is making huge impact here on the Gold Coast and around the world. And he has such beautiful energy. So it is such an honor to have him on my show today. So with that said, I would like to introduce to you Lino Hola. How are you?
Hey Elise, how are you? Thanks for having us on. And what an introduction.
My pleasure. Honestly, you so deserve it. Like the impact that you are having here on the coast. I've heard so many great things and I'm really excited to have you on my show today.
Thanks for having us.
So a couple of questions just so my audience can get to know you, because some people might be listening being like, okay, who is this guy, right? So Lino, how old are you and where are you originally from?
I'm 38 and my parents are both from Tonga. I was born in Brisbane and all of my family still live in Brisbane. Third oldest of 12 kids, so there's a few of us, which is why I'm such a big family man. But
wow.
Yeah,
12 kids, that's amazing. Like,
yeah.
And so where are you living now?
On the Gold Coast.
You're living on the Gold Coast. How long have you been on the Gold Coast for?
I moved here January 2009. My life back then was a bit rougher, a lot rougher back when I moved here. And I transferred from the gym that I was working in back in my hometown down to here. It's known as my fitness club now. Back when I joined, it was called One Life or Beach House. And that was back in 2009. I guess when I moved here, I didn't know that I would be here for as long as I have. But, you know, for me, this is home. And this is the best city in the world. If you've ever traveled and found yourself on the Gold Coast, in terms of lifestyle, quality of life, the Gold Coast it's a city right on the beach. The mountains and the waterfalls only 45 minutes away. Everything is within proximity. So when you're looking for a great way to live, quality of life, lifestyle, opportunity, here's a really great place to live. So I think I'll live and die here, I think.
I so agree. Like, the Gold Coast definitely has a special place in my heart, that is for sure. So you kind of mentioned or alluded to, like, you used to be a personal trainer, is that right?
Yes, 15 years. I have one personal training client now, but basically COVID killed my personal training career, I guess. I finished my certs in like 2003 and I had been personal training since 2005 full time. And then COVID kicked in at 2020. And as you know, all the gyms closed. As everyone knows, the gyms all closed. And that was it. Imagine this happened to a lot of people. They had a career, they had a profession that was in person. And then all of a sudden, nothing. So the fact that men's medicine was something that I was doing, my plans were already to transition out of personal training and into men's medicine full time. I was already coaching prior to men's medicine. And then when men's medicine started, I told myself, don't quit my day job. Continue to personal train for at least the next 2 years and continue to do men's medicine. So that's what I did on the weekends. And personal training was Monday to Fridays. And when COVID kicked in, it just fast-tracked my plans by about 2 months.
I think I also can resonate with you there as well, just having COVID be that push to just go all in on where you're like meant to be, really. So this men's medicine thing, like for those who don't know what it is, like when did you start it? What is it specifically? Tell me a little bit more.
Men's medicine started around this time 3 years ago. We just finished having our 3rd birthday. And it all started from, I guess, as personal trainers, that it's almost like a counseling job, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we train our clients through health and fitness, through our passion of wanting to be better people. And what we end up finding ourselves doing is talking to people about their lives, what's going on in their lives, their relationships, their family, their emotions, all of this sort of stuff. And as a PT, that was the way that I helped my clients the best, was talking to them about their lives. And I guess as we grow up, what we realize is how much of a part our families play in our lives. And the truth is, they're our first teachers. Mum and dad are our first coaches. They are our first teachers. We learn how to be humans from them, from our siblings, from our cousins. Our cousins are our first friends. So these are the sorts of conversations I was having with my clients. And when I sort of reached around that 15-year mark, I think it might have been 2017. Actually, it was after I got married. After we got married, I was like, okay, cool. If I don't learn to transition online, I'm still going to be delivering meal plans and workout programs when I'm 40 and 50. And I'm like, okay, I don't desire to do that. So I have to ask myself, how do I best help people? I'm like, it's not the meal plans. It's not the workout programs. It's talking to people about their lives. That's how I get the best results out of people. And what I found is if I talk to people about their lives, they have a tendency to perform better with their workouts, to stick to their meal plan. I'm like, all right. So that sort of led me down the mindset path. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I found myself in a conversation, and that conversation, what it influenced me to do was create a one-day men's workshop for men to help men get out of their own way. That was the influence of men's medicine. That was where the first idea first came from. And I shared that conversation with 2 different people. One was a friend, one was a client. And it just slowly evolved from there. And then we did our first gathering. Then we did our first event. And that first event went viral. Within 24, 48 hours, there's like a couple 100,000 views. And it was like people messaging us from the States, from Europe, from England, from New Zealand, from all across the world. It was crazy. I'd never experienced anything like that ever. Wow. You know, in all of my years in personal training. And it was just this thing that just went viral. And I guess what people felt like they were seeing was something that they'd never seen before, but also something that was really needed as well. So it was a walk. That's what that event was. And then what we decided to do was people said, come walk in our cities, come walk with us. So that's what we did. Flew to different cities and walked with people in their cities. And in that first year, walked 13 different walks. Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, Hamilton, Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Queenstown, Christchurch.
Wow, that is incredible. And so, like, when you speak about these walks and getting out of your own way, that really like stood out to me. And I believe my listeners could probably relate to this. Like, I guess, how do you cultivate a walk as such to help people get out of their own way? Like, tell me a bit more about that. That's where I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool.
So basically what had happened was one day I walked into the gym and there was my friend who I first shared this idea with. He looked like there was something going on. And as people that work with people and people's bodies, we can always tell when something's up, right? And the average person can work that out as well. So I said, bro, how are you? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, you sure? He's like, why is that? And I said, well, He's at work, girls, and he said, how do you know? I said, bro, it can only be a couple of things. We got talking and it looked like he was holding on to something. And I said, bro, have you ever done a primal scream before? He said, what's that? So I showed him a video of me doing a primal scream. And he was just like, oh, bro, that is raw. So I messaged him after I left the gym and I said, bro, would you like to go for a walk on Wednesday? He said, yeah. So we went on this walk and I took him on a walk that I'd been by myself. And on that walk, he said, bro, I hike, I go out to Mother Nature all the time, but I've never been on this one. And we really need to bring more men out on this walk. Mm-hmm. So that was what we did about 2 months later. We took more men on that walk and I took him on the same walk that I took myself on, doing the same things that I did. Primal scream, meditation, and it evolved over time. And we introduced more exercises and it just became an outdoor workshop. So it's more of an outdoor workshop than it is about the walk. Yeah. The walk really is a way, and if we think about it, motion moves emotion. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just energy and motion. So a walk is have you ever been on a road trip before?
Yeah.
Yeah. The driver or the passenger? Both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. You ever noticed that when you're on a road trip, there's a tendency to have conversation, to talk. Yeah. You're moving forward. You're not necessarily looking at each other. The driver's generally looking forward, but you have these really beautiful conversations. I remember through all my PT years, what I would do is, because the majority of my clients were half-hour clients, and I love the superset. I love to be as effective and as efficient as possible. Get in, get out. Yet you can do it. You don't need me to hold your hand on the treadmill. However, moving between exercises, I'm like, okay, let's walk and talk. We're walking, you're talking. Talk with me. Yeah. And on those walks, that's what we're doing. We're walking, we're talking. And I guess it's not as invasive for the majority of the public that wouldn't go to a counselor, that probably wouldn't go to a psychologist, that probably wouldn't sit down at a men's circle or anything like that. And the walk, people just have a tendency just to talk and just share things that they just usually would not share in other spaces. So it's a really subtle way of opening people up, and Mother Nature really becomes a part of the experience as well. That's our classroom, and she really plays a beautiful role in helping disarm people. It's an extremely disarming environment, so people feel freer. Not only that, we're breathing in the freshest of freshest air. So when we're doing breath work out there amongst the trees on the earth, the oxygen doesn't get any fresher than that. There's running water out there too, so you're benefiting from the negative ion exchange from live running water. You have your shoes off, so you got your feet in the dirt. You're benefiting from the grounding and the earthing aspects as well. Everyone is there for a collective purpose of becoming better versions of themselves as well, unpacking and releasing some stuff. So the collective consciousness starts to elevate as well. The benefit from also connecting with other people as well, that has its benefits as well. So it's like, you think about your best workout. If you put a really good workout together, when you finish, you're like, man, that was good. I feel so good, because the way you laid it and the way you set it up. So I guess there's so much about my fitness life that is part of my coaching life and part of our community as well. If you bring enough of the right elements together and you organize them in a way that compounds and that builds and grows, it has like a hundredth of the power of what it would be if it was disorganized, if it was disjointed, if it was put together through force. If you do enough of the right things really, really well, you don't have to force anything. Everything will take care of itself.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm literally speechless after that. And I'm sure the listeners are just like hanging on to every single word, because I truly resonate with everything that you've just said. I've done a couple of workshops that are quite similar, and also can really resonate with you on your journey from shifting from a PT to then embodying this mindset work as well. And it's interesting, like how you were saying, talking to your clients about their lives and things like that. I'm curious, Lino, like everyone can just talk to people, right? But I'm curious, like, how have you, out of 12 like siblings, right? What do you think has, I guess, cultivated this gift in you, and your ability to talk to people, but also help shift that energy and elevate their consciousness in a way? Because like I said, everyone and anyone can just talk to someone about their life, but your ability to help talk them through some challenging situations or lower vibrations to bring them and hold them to their highest self, that is something not many people can do. So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
Great question. I think looking back on this all, on the life that I've lived and the family that I come from and the journey that I've traveled, the way I sort of describe my journeys is that the family that I come from is almost like a cross-section of society. I grew up in a community. They just happened to be my brothers and sisters. Mm. Yeah. And there's 7 boys, there's 5 girls, and I'm the third oldest. So I'm not at the bottom sort of looking up, watching my siblings leave. Myself and my brothers, my older brothers, we had to sort of lead the way, and then I had 5 sisters. So it led me to be able to connect with not just my brothers being a male, but my sisters. I was very close to my sisters as well. And then culture also plays a part in that as well. As much as we're all alike, we're still very, very different as well. So I've had to learn to adapt to different people from a very, very young age. Like, this is the life I live. Having 5 people in my home is still that's a quiet home for us. So I'm used to busyness. I'm used to people. I'm used to noise. From my personal training background, I had a boot camp business for 10 years. And I think I just realized this one recently, that I've generally always stood in front of people and spoke. From boot camp to being with my family, no one's ever really, we just kind of talk over each other. That's in my home. And it's very rarely is it you're waiting for someone to stop talking before the next person. There's too many people. There's 29 grandkids as well. So we have like a family of like 45 people with just our children, me and my siblings and my parents. So it's a big family, a lot of people. There's always a lot that's going on. So being surrounded by people, working with lots of different people. And I will also say, my early 20s, what brought me to the Gold Coast was, I had quite a colorful teenage years. It was a rough upbringing as well. So I've also had a lot of experience with the people that I'm working with and the stuff that they're going through. Mm. A lot of what they're going through, I've experienced, if not something very similar, the same, but something very, very similar. From a tough upbringing, from culture, from being a man, from being married, from being a father, from a whole like wide range of things, from violence, a whole bunch of stuff. So the people that are coming into my space, not only have I had to work with people, but also, or lots of different kinds of people, but also firsthand experience, life experience as well. So when I realized how I actually help people, that's what influenced me to go and get further education. I realized that another fitness program isn't going to, or a fitness course or a training, is going to make me a better trainer. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't desire to be a comp coach. I don't desire to be a strength and conditioning coach. As much as I can do these things, I'm just not passionate about it. Mm-hmm. More than anything, I like to see people not just healthy, but happy.
Yeah, I think like the greatest transformations come from like the mind first. And I experienced this when I was personal training as well. Like I would get 2 types of clients, the ones that would go hard and get the results really fast and then disappear. And then the ones that would pay you and not do the things to get to where they want to be. And I believe, like, of knowing what I know now about mindset, how it's like either coming from a place of punishment, like I must do this because I hate where I am now, and then vice versa, like not having and like not knowing the why they want to do it, and it's like the reason and the purpose for achieving this goal, and it's just copying what everyone else is doing. And then soon as I was able to see that this was actually going on with clients, and then shift the mindset, help them discover why it was important to them to achieve it, and then find a place of leverage that wasn't coming from a place of punishment, results started happening left, right, and center, and it was sustainable too. And I completely agree.
Sustainable. I think that's probably the more important thing, the sustainability and the longevity of whatever it is you're doing. And I guess I kind of told myself, at which point will I have enough of delivering meal plans and workout programs? I'm like, do I really want to be 40 delivering meal plans, workout programs, 6, 8, 12-week challenges? And the truth is that, am I really helping people? On the front end, yes. But long term, we see the same people come back in again. The same people losing the same 10, 20 kilos. And I was like, this is actually a broken system. It's like what you just said before. We're teaching them to punish themselves. It's like, okay, cool, great. Now that we're aware, what do we choose? Yeah. Now we have that greater awareness. What do we choose? How can we improve on this? How can we make this better? Or am I just going to keep on running on this hamster wheel? And I guess this is part of the journey, right? We do the same thing until it's time to change. And I enjoy variety and progress as much as the next person. So, you know, as much as I love sticking to the basics, like when are we going to expand?
Yes.
When are we going to expand on what we're doing and how we're living and where we're going? And I am very reminiscent, very nostalgic, very sentimental. Love old photos, love old movies. I listen to the same music I do now as what I listened to back in high school. Strangely enough, my daughter listens to the same music as well. However, I like to change the channel every now and then.
Yes.
You know, I think, you know, what I'm touching on here is expression. Who are you in your fullest expression? The music you listen to, the way you do your hair, the clothes that you wear. Like that's our new men's medicine range behind me, the samples. And it was like, we wear our uniform so regularly. I'm like, but they're not the comfy clothes that I want to wear. And the season's changing. And I believe as the seasons change, so do we.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So I'll go pick all the clothes that I prefer to wear. We're just going to put our logo on it. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. And that's what I'm going to wear. And I'm going to be happier to wear that stuff.
Yeah. So to put all of that in some tangible questions that my listeners can take away, I just jotted some of them down. So it's like, because I believe there'd be some people listening to this in a similar situation in their career being like, can I actually see myself doing this forever? So that's the first question. Can you see yourself doing what you're doing now in the indefinite future? And like, where can you expand and express all parts of yourself? And then who are you and who do you want to be and what do you choose?
Yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful questions. Beautiful questions. I guess they're definitely things that enter my mind a lot is, I guess, doing something's great, but where's it going? Yeah. Where are we going with this? What are we doing? You know, going for a drive is nice. And I think it's really beautiful. Procrastination actually isn't a bad thing. It's a problem when you live there. Yeah. If you're going to procrastinate like the best procrastinator you've ever been. Yeah. I guarantee you'll get sick of it. Yeah. And what that should do is it should stimulate curiosity. For like, well, okay, you know what? I've had enough of this shit. What else was I going to do? I'm sure I was doing something. There was something that I wanted to do. You know what? I have watched Netflix and chilled to the point where I've done.
Oh, feels. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go for a walk. I just want to get out of here. Yeah. I can't meal prep, Netflix and chill, go through the motions anymore. You know? Wearing the same colors over and over again. You know what? I'm just going to put on a different color for the sake of doing something different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes, and you can create music playlists to express different emotions. I've got one playlist called Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rage. And it's got like Rage Against the Machine, the White Stripes. It's got like aggressive music on there because sometimes I don't want to listen to slow jams, motivational videos, R&B, hip-hop. Sometimes I just want to hear something just rough and raw and grungy to break out of the norm. So I get the question is, who are you in your fullest expression? And allowing yourself to experience all the things. Yeah. And what you might find is there's so many parts of you that you don't express. That doesn't mean you aren't who you usually are. It just means there's more to you than what you've been sharing.
Wow. And, Lino, I'm really curious as well to delve into the topic of like awareness and identity, as I'm sure there's heaps of people listening to this wanting to start their journey on doing the work and discovering all parts of themselves and developing a relationship with themselves and a better relationships with other people as a result. So I guess what would be your advice for those people getting started on this work and leaning into those different qualities and abilities and identities and archetypes that they have within themselves? What would be your advice for them?
I'm going to say two things.
Okay.
One, go for a walk. Yeah. Go for a walk. Get your body moving. At some point, take some time to breathe. Drop into your breath. There's something really beautiful that happens when your body's going through that gas exchange between carbon dioxide and oxygen and the impact that it has on the body. We cannot give what we do not have, so whatever's inside, it's going to come through. Yeah. So when we tap into the breath, that we can't give whatever's inside this body of yours, it's going to come through. So if you're struggling to find the answers for whatever it is you're looking for, whatever it is you're wanting to do, you don't always have the answers. And I'm probably going to say it's probably important to not have all the answers. Yeah? Otherwise, where's the fun in discovery? So go explore. Go for a walk, get some fresh oxygen, get some fresh air. Stop, take a moment to breathe, drop into your body, feel what feels alive in you, and whatever comes through, journal on that, speak into that.
That is so beautiful. And I actually, prior to moving to the Gold Coast, I had never heard of breathwork. And I think like the first week that I got here, I met some random person who is now really close to me, and they took me to this thing. It was on the beach and we breathed for a bit and did a meditation. And honestly, it was such a bizarre experience, and I had never heard of it prior to moving. And on the Gold Coast, I am seeing it everywhere. I've done a lot of breathwork experiences myself. I've facilitated breathwork journeys. So when you say dropping into the breath, tapping into your breath, like I'd love to explore like the importance of that and how that has changed your life, and then now like why you're using it to help other people.
You could almost say, great question. You could almost say the two are very similar. Going for a walk is energy and motion. Yeah. Breathing is very similar. It's just internal. As we breathe into the body, it starts to shift that energy and that emotion as well. And whatever's going to come through is whatever's going to come through. And if you think about it, movement and breath are two really, really simple concepts that anybody can do. Movement, even if I've got a private session this afternoon and that person's in a wheelchair, we will be breathing.
Yeah.
He can still breathe, even though he's a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a really horrific accident that he went through, and he's been struggling with a lot of stuff. So what do we do there? Do we counsel to the point where he's now doing in his head, he can't even run anywhere. He can't even move himself. So breath work is a really powerful tool that he can use at any given time, that he can learn, he can build on, he can improve on, and he can improve his life on as well. So if you can walk, go for a walk. If you can breathe, if you can find yourself a space to breathe, and when I say breathe, what I really encourage people to do is to start off slow. The simple act of just breathing in and out your nose allows you to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system straight away. Straight away. Simply by, and what they say is that the nose is for breathing and the mouth is for speaking and eating. Except over time through evolution that our food and our diet has changed to the point where we're so used to utilizing our mouth, we became mouth breathers. The food has changed. We don't have to chew it so much. It's become a lot softer. Yeah. So it goes down a lot faster. So we're not using it as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not breathing as much through the nasal passage. So we're not using it. It's one of those things like muscles. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it doesn't work as effectively. So the technique of breathing has changed as well. So I would just start off with just breathing in and out the nose and just start there. Let your favorite music play, the music that makes you feel good, even if it's upbeat. A lot of the time, I'll go onto YouTube and I'll hit whatever video is up there first, and I'll just sit on the beach and I'll just breathing in and out the nose. I'm a bit congested this morning, but that's where I would start.
Yeah.
And then as that energy starts to move, it'll start to move me and I'll start to feel the physiological change, and then I'll follow wherever it needs to go. If I need to breathe a little deeper, if I need to breathe a little bigger, if I feel called to maybe shift from my nose to my mouth or breathing in and out the mouth. If I want something bigger, something deeper, then I'll return to mouth breathing. If I'm wanting a more specific result, then I'll move it into rhythmic breathing to specific tempos. And that will change the experience as well. Yeah. If I'm wanting to intensify it, it might go a little bit quicker, it might go a little bit stronger. And all of these different styles and techniques will deliver a different experience, produce a different result. So depending on what you need will influence what you should do.
I love that. And so if someone was to get started in breath work, what would be your recommendation for like what technique they would do to get started?
I would start off with nasal breathing to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get started. Just the simple practice of just breathing in and out the nose. And when you feel like you need more oxygen, breathe out the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now you're dumping more CO2. And then you can return back to the nose. If you feel like you would like to extend it, continue within the nose and out the mouth. And just start there. If you're familiar with the scale of frequency, Hawkins scale of frequency, all emotions have a frequency about it. Love is at 528 hertz, anger and all those lower vibrations, and guilt and shame and grief, they're on the lower end of the scale, and joy and peace is all above that. You can literally go onto YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, type in love frequency, and tracks will just come up.
Yeah.
Type it in, put the headphones on, press play, sit there, breathe in and out your nose. When you feel like you need to dump more CO2, because obviously 2 different size holes between your nasal passage and your mouth, breathe out the mouth. If you feel like you would like to follow through that, continue to follow through that. And the reason why I encourage this way of beginning with breath work is because it's organic. Takes you out of your head and into your body, because the more you're thinking, the less you're in your body.
Yeah.
And the more we're in our head. And that's half of the challenge that we're experiencing in this world today. People are so much in their heads as opposed to being in their bodies and their hearts. And if our mind is in control, our conscious mind, of 5% of what goes on, and the unconscious is 95%, and conscious mind, shoulders up, unconscious, shoulders down, all the rest of this stuff is stored in the body. So it would probably make sense to tap into this powerful body of yours a little more frequently, right?
That is so powerful. I think, like, do you believe that being in our heads is an evolution thing? Like, over time, we have transitioned from being less in our hearts and more in our heads about things. And, like, what is your belief around, like, ancestral patterns and leaving behind, like, old identities to, like, transition back into your heart? Like, what is your stance on that concept?
I think that humans have an ability to intellectualize everything.
Mm-hmm.
The analytical mind wants to do its thing, that the ego wants to do its thing. It's never changed. And I think more than anything, just raising consciousness and awareness, to consciousness, to growth, which is, I guess, why I shared, talking about personal growth. I think, we're all put on this earth to do whatever it is you came to do. Whatever you feel you're great at, you're supposed to do that.
What do you feel, like, what if you feel you're here to do?
What I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing now, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Love that. Awesome.
Yeah. I don't think, when I got into personal training, I finished my course in 2003, and then I had an injury the first weekend of my first job. So I was out of action for the following 2 years. And I had a cleaning job. So my sister was doing this cleaning job, and I transitioned from my job into that job, and I was working with her. And I was on this insurance job with her, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And I was listening to guys talk about their stories, about their glory days, of how they could have done this, they could have done that. And I'm listening to it, thinking to myself, why am I here? I literally could be making more money, cleaner, for less hours. Yet I'm here on this construction site of this burnt down building, cleaning soot off purlins because I've been too lazy to get myself in the gym and get myself a damn PT job. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So I left, and I slowly but surely got myself into working as a PT. And at the time I was doing boot camp.
Yeah.
So eventually I went back to my old job. I bought a franchise of that boot camp, and I just bit off more than I could chew, and I just worked my ass off. Yeah. I just head down, thumbs up. I'm like, all I know is what I was doing is not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I did PT for as long as I still do enjoy it, but I only want to work with people that I love. However, I did make the mistake through COVID of still PTing too many people, which meant it took my focus and my energy off men's medicine. I'm like, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that thing. And I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate, where they're doing things that they know how to do, that they're good at, but it's gone past its expiry date.
Yeah.
They've overstayed the use by date. They're welcome. Like, their time there is done. That chapter is done. Yet here I was still doing a dozen PT sessions a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't really close that chapter, did I? I'm like, you know what? I'm canning all the clients except for one, and that's it. So people still do ask me to do PT. People still ask me for meal plans and workout programs. And I'm just like, yes, I don't do that anymore.
I did a podcast not long ago on focus and the power of unwavering focus and having, like, that one vision. And when things pop up, opportunities that you're good at and that sound really cool, it can take you away from that soul mission that you are here to progress. And like you said, what you're doing now is what you're meant to be doing. And if your focus was to be diverted through, like, nutrition and training other people, it takes away your energy from what truly lights you up.
Yeah, I think 15 years is plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that chapter, that career is done. And yeah, what I'm doing now is like I wake up every morning and whatever we're doing today is whatever we're doing today. I'm like, everything is on mission anyway. So whatever we're doing today is based on whatever needs to happen this week, what needs to happen this month. So it's all, today is a small piece of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what specifically is the bigger picture? Like, where do you see men's medicine growing to in the next 5 years?
It's forever evolving.
Yeah.
So probably one thing that has been an asset to me, but also a disadvantage to me, is my ability to work in person. I love working in person. However, if I only purely work in person, I'll never be able to get to enough people. I'll never be able to impact enough people. So being able to develop a more hybrid model of being online and in person, currently specifically working on an app it's consuming a lot of my time, but working on an app, working on programs, people have been hassling me for breath work for as long as I can remember. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'll put it together. People have been asking for merch for forever. And I'm like, all right. So I'm finally, and I guess I realized that. So we sort of broke down what we're doing. I'm like, okay, so let's just work out, what are we doing? What do we do? And we looked at it. I'm like, all right. So what I've identified is we know how to work. Cool. But this isn't actually set up to grow long term. So we're going to have to restructure this and organize it so it flows a little bit better, so it can grow a lot more freely.
Yeah.
At this stage, I did over 60 workshops and events last year. So you can't keep that up.
No, that's a lot.
I'm like, so what do we do to grow this year? Well, we do 70. And I'm like, no, okay, let's pull back. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. For everyone else across the country or across the world that has wanted to experience us, they can't get to us and we can't get to them. And the truth is we can never get to enough people. So that's what we're working on at the moment, making sure that there's enough in person, online, that we've got enough resources and points of contact that can help support people in the way that we do.
It sounds absolutely incredible. I'm so excited to see what you create over the next few months and years. Lino, I have one last question for you, but before, where can my listeners, my audience find you if they want to learn more about what you do?
Instagram seems to be the easiest way to get at me, which is either my personal ones, Coach Hola, or our work ones, men's_medicine, or you can find me at coach@mensmedicine.work.
Amazing. Cool. And this last question, are you ready?
Good.
So if you were to channel in some sort of message, whether it be related to what we've spoken about or completely different, what would be your number one piece of advice for the listeners, and what do they need to hear right now?
That it's along the lines of what I shared with you before. You're only put on this earth. You were put on this earth to do whatever it is you were supposed to do, and your only job in life was to do that. Yeah. There may be many different versions of that, many different chapters of that. I wouldn't set your whole life on one plan, that this is who I am now and this is who I am for the rest of my life. Over time, we grow, we evolve. Things change over time, and you will expand and be willing to move with that. Yeah, you're not a tree. You're not rooted into where you are right now. But I guess on the other hand, that there can be many branches to you, to different versions of you. So whoever you are in your fullest expression, your only job in life is to do that. So don't hold back. Don't allow yourself to be pigeonholed. Whatever makes your heart sing, do that. There are people in this world that are making money, making a living, providing for themselves and their families and their futures, doing some of the craziest things that you just wouldn't even know that people could get rewarded for, could get compensated for. Like, I spend a lot of my time teaching it for the rest of this afternoon. It'll be teaching people how to breathe.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So whatever it is you feel that you are supposed to do, or if you don't have the capacity or the ability to be able to leave your current job, then don't leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Do exactly what most other people do, and that is to get a side hustle. Do your passion on the side till it becomes the thing.
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is, do the damn thing.
I love it.
That's what my piece of advice is.
So good. I feel like every time I ask that question, it always is so relevant to the listeners, but also myself as well. So receiving that fully. Thank you so much for your time, Lino. It's been absolutely amazing. I think the listeners are going to get so much from this, as I myself can say that I definitely have taken notes and am going to re-listen to this. And yeah, I just really appreciate having you on here today, and I'm looking forward to see what you create over the next few months.
Thank you so much for having us. Thanks for listening, fam.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.